Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome along. Get some game volume. There we go to round number 3 of the Track Titan Virtual Sprint Cup. And we are here at one of my absolute favourites, Barcelona. Oh yes, we are getting that in a meme. It is round number 3. Updates to the game, firing left, right and centre. But I have managed to get mine running just in time to see the Silvers almost finish. They're qualifying at my beloved Barcelona. There's Klaus Christensen in the new Ferrari. The problem child, as it is unaffectionately being known throughout ACC circles. Hopefully the hot fix does indeed fix it. At the moment it's Mustafa Ranjbar who is leading the way in the Aston Martin. 2/10, almost 3/10 ahead of Ryan McCord. Last week he won race 1 for the Silvers. Last week started 12th, made up a couple of places in the race and finished 10th. Certainly put in last week in as a faded memory at the moment. I'm sure he is second. Sorry, just checking because this has stuck. Yep, nope, there we go. Yep, so it is. There we go. Klaus Christensen in third. David Lewis in fourth place. Your Sokach currently in fifth with William Giovannini, sorry, in sixth place. David Danzer currently in seventh. James Rollins. 8th is Jones in 9th. Larson is in 10th with Duran currently in 11th position. Slightly down on numbers. There's Jones. Mustafa Ranjbar. I'll tell you what, we will have a quick look actually. I was going to do this at the start, but we were running slightly behind. There is the standings for the Silvers. With the drop round, you're going to see a lot of drivers on the same points, like the two drivers at the top of the Silvers, McCord and Rollins, both with a race win each under their belts, so 55 points each. There's Ranjbar, top of the timing boards at the moment, although McCord has closed the gap, so too is Christensen, and your Sokach has just gotten to within 2/10 as well. So it really is hotting up at the front. Darren Jones is in 4th place. With Nelson Pinto in 5th position. Klaus Christensen, who's currently 3rd in qualifying, 3rd last week. Bit of consistency there. 6th in the championship. Sebastian Zajac, your Sokach, David Lewis, 7th, 8th and 9th. Lewis on the same points as Sokach with their best finish so far. That 5th, and it is William Giovannini who's currently in 8th in qualifying, 10th in the silver standings. We'll jump back on board, he says confidently. There we go. Nope. There we go, Mustafa Ranjbar. Oh, into the 44s. Quite a few of them are now. 3 drivers within that 2/10. This evening's format, of course, a 60-minute race. There is a 90-minute finale to the season. There is one mandatory pit stop, but no mandatory requirements in the pit stop. It's a completely free choice, but there is a 40-minute max timer. 40-minute max stint timer for the drivers in the 60-minute races. No stint timer in the 90-minute finale. There will be post-race stewarding. And in each race, based on the previous race, the top 3 will receive penalties for in the pit stop. 15 seconds for finishing first. Second place will receive 10 seconds. And third place will receive 5 seconds. Those penalty times will be added at the end of lap number 1. The championship does come with prizes, thanks to Track Titan. And with a version 1.9 update, never has there been a better time to get yourself over to Track Titan and get yourself onto their telemetry site? We'll be giving it a testing out over the next few days, if not the weekend. So we will see how that goes. And what we have, I can indeed. I was just about to quickly do the prizes. We have been joined in the commentary box from Mr. Simon Baggas. Good evening, Simon.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
There we go. They can hear you indeed, hopefully. You're just as loud as me. I'm a professional streamer, Simon. I know what I'm doing. But yeah, the drivers who definitely know what they're doing. Oh, and the silvers have finished, so we'll get their qualifying results in a second. There is prizes up for grab. First place in each of the splits will receive a 6-month free subscription to the Track Titan Plus service. Second and third in each class will receive a 3 and 1 month subscription as well. And there is also a draw. Every driver that completes 6 or more rounds will be entered into a prize draw to win £50 as a completion bonus for the championship. So yeah, prizes all round. And the silvers, Simon, are looking for their prizes as I'm frantically looking for the controls. There we go, because the qualifying is done. And very close up at the top, 35, in fact less than a tenth, separating the top 4 at the top of the silver, Simon.
Yeah, much closer qualifying this this week at this round. Obviously, last week it was the new update, but they were in the old cars. So everybody's now had 1 week's worth of full practice sessions on the new machines, getting used to the new tyres. There's not so much of a scramble for these drivers to get some sort of setup together in 3 or 4 hours before the race. So yeah, I think now we're seeing these drivers with proper setups and how close the field actually should be compared to last week. And it's a Porsche on pole in the silvers. The 2 Aston Martins, Ranjbar and Rawlins, they're right up there again this week. Obviously, it's Ranjbar, Christensen and Rawlins that have got the success penalties to serve. So Mr. Jones, who stuck it on pole, is ahead of the 3 penalty drivers, and if he can keep it in the lead at the start of the race, he's looking good. But I don't think we can count out McCord or Sokach behind either. In 5th and 6th, they could be in contention for the race wins here in the silvers. And obviously something else, I guess, Barcelona's famous for it is that left tyre wear. So we'll see how well these drivers can keep hold of these tyres with their life. We'll see if there's going to be any changes in the pit stops. Yeah, it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, I did once see homeschool racer back-to-back races around Barcelona have his front left tyre completely blow out. So, yeah, no, genuinely, yeah, misjudged these tyre pressures ever so slightly, and yeah, that was the result. We're now seeing a lot of times coming in from the pros as well, and they're already in the 43s.
Yeah, I think the fastest pro/esports time I've seen so far on this new patch is a 43.2. So they're not far away from the fastest laps set so far on this new patch. 43.7. I saw Thomas Morant in the practice server do a 43.5. So there's still time to be found with these drivers, obviously only completing their first lap of the 10-minute qualifying session. So yeah, I think we could see a couple of drivers get as low as the mid 43s.
Yeah, well, while we've got...
No, yeah, go on, you carry on.
Oh, no, well, yeah, no, if you keep going, yeah, because I was just going to bring up the stand-ins, he says. That's
okay,
the wrong
yeah.
screen.
Well, I was just about to mention, obviously, the pole sitter in the silvers is a Porsche, and currently the pole sitter in the pros is a Porsche as well. So obviously, the Porsche is pretty handy around here in the right hands. And actually, you've got a Ferrari inside the top 3 for the pros, like we have the silvers. Again, just like last round though, we're seeing a mixed bag of qualifying from the pro drivers here. Not able to put in a lap fast enough to get ahead of these silver drivers. Again, I think it's one of these things on this new patch where some drivers have been able to get up to speed quicker than others, and even though, you know, on pre-patch, so version 1.8, they were actual silver drivers, bring them over to version 1.9 and they've been able to get on top of it quicker, and they're mixing it with the pros now.
You know what, I'm going to be honest, I think from my own personal experience, and obviously you can take this with...
43.2 from Thomas Morant. Wow.
Wow.
The fastest I've seen so far is a 43.2, so he's equaled the fastest lap I've seen so far.
And would you look at the car he's in there, Simon?
Look at the what, sorry?
The car that he's in.
Oh, yeah, your favourite, of course.
It's the Ferrari, baby. Oh, yeah. Plenty pepperoni on the pizza for Morant afterwards. 43.2, half a second ahead of Richie in the Porsche. Andre Dixon Chen, who was just saw there, sixth in the championship after a fourth last week, could definitely be in contention. And I'm sure Simon will be very pleased to see one Albi Alvarez. He's had a year away from the Simrig, Simon, but we're going to talk about him again because he is very quick, and he is really is finding his pace very quickly. Despite the year away, he's definitely trending back upwards, and he's going to be a serious podium contender. If not today, then yeah, definitely before the end of this season.
Yeah, again, he was looking forward to coming back into this new patch where he could re-find his form, where setups aren't as broken, and you know, some normalization was being brought back into the game. And if you take the top two out of the equation, the rest of the field are separated by less than a second, or up to P20 is separated by less than a second. So yeah, we're seeing some really fast times come in now. And I can say it back to you now, John. The Ferrari currently is absolutely broken. I don't think there's a faster car in the game. There's not a better car that rides the curbs. You know, Ferrari all of a sudden is the king at riding curbs. It's the fastest down the straight. It's the best in the corners. I think it's not going to be long before they bring a new small patch to.
I mean, to be fair, it could be down to the Ferrari engineering on the new car.
True, yeah. I'm yet to see this pace from it in real life, though.
Well, there is that.
It's not quite this fast in real life yet.
No.
And obviously, ACC and Kunos try and build the cars based on real life telemetry and stuff, so maybe Ferrari have fibbed their way to the front for this one at the minute.
Well, whatever they've done, they need to hand it to the Ferrari pit crews and the Formula One team.
Thank you.
See if we can maybe sort the strategies out a bit. Yeah, we've got Cristian Romano on screen. He's gifted a race win, currently tied in the championship with RTO member Dan Watts. Returning to a couple of quick points, actually. Ryan McCord, who's in the pits, starting in 5th in the silvers. But as Simon said, him and Sokach could be on for race wins. It's certainly not out of the question, given the way the RTO team do like to make up positions in the race. One Joe Boyle, a serial offender in that affair. He does like to get it done.
Very off the pace, actually. He's down in P20.
He is, actually. Yeah, I was looking for him to bring him on screen there, and yeah. There is a fair handful of silvers ahead of Mr. Boyle. 30 seconds left of qualifying, so a lot of places he's going to have to make up. Richie in the Porsche trying to chase Morant, so too Watts. Watts has got himself a bit of time as he makes his way in through Sector 2. Such a sin what the Formula 1 drivers have done to this track, but there we go. Albi Alvarez. So it's now 5 drivers within a second up at the front. That's qualifying done and dusted. Page 14th, Romano 13th, Kashik Tarash 12th, Fielder in 11th, Kowaleski 9th, And then it's Dixon, Chen, Alvarez, Watson, Ritchie and Morant currently making up the top spots on the grid. A few more drivers. But yeah, some instant big shocks there. Jusma and Boyle, 19th and 20th overall.
Funny how it works sometimes, isn't it? How a certain style of driving is needed per patch of a sim racing game. How some drives are just naturally faster on a certain style of how the sim's made, you know, like just talk about Albi Alvarez, he was a bit off the pace on the previous patch where there was all those broken setups. Now he's currently P4 on the brand new version, and you got Jusma and Linksy who were near the front of the field. You know, obviously Jusma was the silver champion, and then he's moved up to pro for this series, and he's had some good performances. But those two were right at the rear of the field all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Crazy how that works.
It is indeed. And yeah, to touch on another point, you were saying some drivers picking up in the Ferrari with the curbs. I have to say, from my own experience, it's certainly taken a lot of the intensity out. Not that that's a bad thing, because yeah, it's safe to say that ACC a fairly intense game to drive, and a lot of times, even the thought of going near those curves was enough to send chills down my spine. Now I went round Misano in the old and new Ferrari. 56mm right height on the front of the old Ferrari, around Misano, every curb, not a problem. It was, yeah. And if you know, you know. The old Ferrari was not keen on many of the curves at Misano. Skyward bound. But on pole position is the new Ferrari. Thomas Morant with a 143.285, 3/10 ahead of the Jeffrey Ritchie in the new Porsche, joining him on the front row of the grid, and he did that in only 3 laps. And 2 purple sectors under his belt as well. Dan Watts, joint championship leader, finds himself on the 2nd row, almost 7/10 off the pace, and only a 10.5 quicker than Albi Alvarez. In 4th, it's Andre Dixon Chen, and 5th, and Jones. The first silver, 6th position. He's going to start 1 row ahead and 1 position ahead of Mustafa Ranjbar, who'll be side by side with Kowalewski, who's going to be 6th position in the pros. 7th for the pros, it's Romano. 8th is Fielder. 9th, Kashiktaris. Page in 10th place. And then it is Jusma and Boyle, 11th and 12th. Jonathan Reed in 13th place. And Jones in 15th position in the silvers. There is Jones there first. Ranjbar and Christensen on the 2nd row, side by side with Rawlings. Ryan McCord in 5th place, but again, we do know the RTO team like to make up positions during the races. Those consistent laps definitely pay off towards the end. Your Sokats is going to be 3rd row for the silvers with D. Lewis and Giovannini on row number 4, Danzer and Duran. 9th and 10th, Larson 11th, and then 10th, and Petrovic in 11th. We've lost a driver. We'll figure out who that is very shortly. But this should be a phenomenal race, Simon. Barcelona, absolutely one of my favourites. And the amount of overtaking opportunities on this course, pretty much a plethora, it's safe to say.
Yeah, it does create some good racing. Obviously, it's a bit different being a night race because drivers don't have those natural braking points to see, so it's going to be a bit harder in that respect. But hopefully we have a clean first lap and we have a fantastic race, just like we did at Misano in the previous round. You know, the race leader getting a drive-through on the final corner, 2nd and 3rd being promoted to 1st and 2nd and finishing within a 10th of each other, and then 3rd and 4th finishing within a 10th of each other as well. If we get that type of race here today, it's going to be fantastic.
Yep, nobody does it the way the drivers at SOP do it, that is for sure. Let's put the funky video on for a minute. Yeah, full formation lap. And again, Simon, sponsored by Track Titan, and with the version 1.9 update, as we can see, could not be a better time to get yourself involved, and yeah, some great prizes up for grabs for the drivers.
Yeah, exactly. I think obviously Track Titan has that, I guess, agreement or partnership with Hymo setups, and so I believe Hymo setups have just updated every single track with a base lap, so each driver can see where they need to improve on this brand new update as well. So if they haven't got Track Titan, it's a perfect time to get it, and you'll be able to see where you can improve your lap times rather quickly with some really fast laps as a base to go off.
Take myself off mute. Too many buttons, not enough brain cells. And that was such a silky link then, again, about how we're going to see some very quick laps. Duran is out the race. Oh, so we've lost somebody already. Serkin Duran. Mark Jones is in. So is Boyle. Can you see the track temperature, sorry Simon, on your pit wall? Because mine seems to be...
I can. It's 21 degrees.
Oh, that's not too bad actually.
No, obviously the sun's gone away, so tyre wear shouldn't be that much of an issue unless drivers have got some extreme setups which won't work anymore. Then yeah, it should be pretty decent, and obviously with it being an hour race, the temperature should only cool down a little bit as well as the race progresses.
It should, yeah. It's funny you should mention tyre wear because that has been a big thing. A couple of races so far, drivers are saying maybe about 45 minutes in some cases for the tyre. Have you heard any rumblings of that sort from any of the SOP esports drivers?
Not specifically from any of our drivers, because I think we are getting on top of the setups quite fast here now. Obviously, around taking pole, cough, cough. So yeah, we're discovering what creates the tyre wear, and we're eliminating that, and we're seeing what the fastest qualifying setups are, and we're trying to go with them. Obviously, they're a lot more difficult to drive and a lot more on the edge, but you only need it for one lap, and then yeah, the race setups are a little bit more reserved on the tyre wear. Just things like obviously reducing negative toe back to normal values and things like that.
Well,
yeah,
obviously the real test of the Ferrari setup will be to put it in the hands of a real pro, and it's just so happens that I really love this track, Simon, so feel free to pop that over and I'll be sure to give you my expert opinion on said setup. But enough of me trying to mooch free setups from an esports team. Let's watch the drivers coming through the RACC chicane.
Something I found actually is I don't think the Ferrari is that great off the line.
Oh.
It seems to have a very long gear ratio.
Yes,
so
it does.
It really struggles in the low gears. So we may see Richie jump straight into the lead off the line.
Oh, okay. And yeah, when we say see, we'll see a lot of headlights. And we'll try and figure out from the telemetry exactly what is going on. 1 hour of racing, 1 mandatory pit stop, 1 40-minute stint timer for the drivers to navigate, and they are away. And exactly as Simon predicted, Richie straight into the lead. The Ferrari left floundering, and Dan Watts having a look as well. There's Albi Alvarez, and we've got a 19 wide situation in the background, as you do at Barcelona. I'm confident they'll all make it through. Christian Romano 3 wide with a Ferrari. And an Aston Martin on his outside. Oh, and we've got a Ferrari that's spun. It's collected 1 car. It's not Marcus Juzma. In fact, 3 cars involved there. Boyle's made it through. So is David Danzer. Jonathan Reed safely through as well. That is... Who is that that's dropped off? And it won't even pop up with the yellow flag. It's Amirka Sheiktarash. So he was on his way into turn number 1. Oh, he has a little snapple oversteer, nothing major, and he gets a tap on the inside and ends up with Aston Martin and a Mercedes either side of him. In fact, there's 2 Mercedes either side of him. So Kashiktaras, Petrovic and Mark Jones. Oh no, not Mark Jones, sorry. And not your Sokats as well. In fact, into turn number 4, more 3 wide action. That was SOP, that was Marcus Juzma. and Ryan McCord that were going side by side there. Oh, big manoeuvre there, and who is that off the track as well? Oh, and that is a ropey rejoin to say the least there. Mustafa Ranjbar almost popped up right back into the middle there. He's got the SOP BMW at Liam Page chasing him through turn number 7 onto the back straight. Having a look into the cakes, Oh,
Okay, I'll be back in a
there.
minute, John. I'm going to check these lap 1 incidents.
Okay, so yeah, so Simon's going to have a quick look at the lap 1 incident. Oh, he does hold his brakes. And he does drop down the order. Lots of action going on. Giovannini in the pits. It's still Thomas Morant in second place as Jeffrey Ritchie got that flying start and held on to it. Albie Alvarez now finds himself in 5th position with Andre Dixon Chen in front of him. The Ferrari doing his best to chase down the Audi into turn number 4. Dixon with a beautiful apex then. Alvarez still trying to close there as Darren Jones and Christian Romano. With everything that's gone on there, he now finds himself up into 7th position. Liam Page, the BMW that we saw almost involved in that incident, still running there, although that is Rollins in the Aston Martin. So he was moving off the line there. He's got Kowaleski just behind him. The penalties that you can see being added, those are the penalties that I mentioned from the previous round. Romano winning, so he gets 15 seconds. Thomas Morant came second, so he gets 10 seconds. James Rollins, of course, he won. Oh, beautiful move up the inside from the Aston Martin. The silver getting the move done on the pro driver. Kowaleski got a great view at this battle ahead between the two SOP cars, although it is Rollins who is back behind Page once again. And there is Ritchie getting his 5 seconds for 3rd place from last week's race. So certainly the game plan going as he needs at the moment. He does need to obviously extend that gap by 5 seconds to offset the deficit between himself and Morant when they come into the pits. Giovannini for some reason shown in 2nd on the telemetry, but not in the race anymore. Albie Alvarez in 6th place with Darren Jones now 1.7 down the road defending from Christian Romano around turn number 3. Romano having a good look around the outside into turn number 4. And that's not the camera we need, that's the camera we need. Falls back into line then. Page and Rollins, the SOP teammates, still nose to tail. Aidan Larson, oh, and in fact, Ryan McCord. I think Amir Kashikras potentially has had another incident there. Petrovic's still carrying some damage. Jones now down in 22nd place overall. Kashikras just ahead of him. Ranjbar with his penalty from round number 2, sorry, last week's round. Joe Boyle still in 20th position. He's got teammate Ryan McCord just ahead of him. McCord piling the pressure onto Sokach at the minute. These two have lost a couple of positions in class. Aidan Larson and David Danzer now ahead of them. And in fact, McCord has just dropped more positions in. So we've actually missed that, but he is now behind Boyle, Ranjbar and Sokach. So someone's gone on there. Still up at the front, no, Jeffrey Ritchie. Being chased by Thomas Morant. These two now with a visible gap back to 3rd. We will find Dan Watts, currently joint leader in the championship. He's got a bit of breathing space with Andre Dixon Chen. Actually not quite so occupied with Albie Alvarez. The Ferrari was breathing down his neck heavily on the previous couple of laps. Not the case at the moment. It is Romano who's just got himself past Jones. Straight drag race this into turn 1, and is a clear indication there from Romano. that he is taking the inside line into turn number 1, right in the middle of the track. Beautiful rotation from the car, despite being late on the brakes. And Jones looks like he lost, but oh no, he didn't lose another position. Page and Rawlings knocking on the rear spoiler now, as we can see Romano moving off into the distance. Page now positioning himself for the overtake, and that has broken the camera, so we'll do that and we'll do that as we can see Page still, as we come through one of my absolute favourite corners here, and you can see how close he's getting. He's positioned himself on the outside line then into the cakes. That is the Audi going to follow. Oh, and the Ferrari's completely missed his brakes there. Kowaleski completely missing his brakes there. He was in the slipstream, or did he take contact in the rear actually? Let's say, yeah. Let's not make any judgments until we get a look at this, so we'll see. Kowaleski comes out the corner. Beautiful exit, even on the old curb system. That would have been okay. The Aston moves over. Kowaleski, oh, does manage to control it then, so didn't take any contact in the rear. Christensen still in third place then, but Kowaleski dropping down the order. David Danzer promoted overall, so too Jonathan Reed, Marcus Juzman, Chris Fielder, and Ritchie and Morant, still only 6/10 separating them, with a 3-second gap back to Dan Watts in third. Dixon Chen in fourth. He's got Albi Alvarez still keeping in touch with them then. That gap was slightly bigger on the last lap. Alvarez has gathered that back up. In fact, Page and Rawlins, look how close they are getting. Klaus Christensen right in the thick of the action there as well. In fact, that has got the rear screen now. So he's got the 2 SOP cars ahead of him. He knows that this is a podium position as well, and you can see D. Lewis behind him. I keep calling him D. Lewis because I've known him for years as D. His name is David. But yeah, I'm not just saying he's first initial and his surname is excuse me, but yeah. Oh, Christensen having a look around the outside through the cakes. Nicely done on the brakes. It's 2x2, more than enough room left by Rawlins, and it is going to be Lewis who gets a phenomenal look at this. And in fact, Chris Fielder in the background won't be slow in pouncing on any open positions. You can see full rear spoiler action for Lewis on the back of the new Ferrari. Glorious sound out of the new Ferrari, and Lewis will definitely be hearing that, as we can see a close train of cars making their way in and out of New Holland. That's a whole lot of slipstream to be given up there, and it is Darren Jones who has given most of it up. And as you can see, the cars closing behind him. Are any of them going to be close enough into turn number 1? The BMW is certainly having a look. He's going to go side by side. Oh, and he almost loses his nose there, but Jones holds his line. The BMW holds his line. The two of them get a good exit, but so too does James Rawlins in the background. Klaus Christensen doing the same as well, taking a nice wide line there. And again, the BMW having a look up the inside, threatens to overtake, backs right back out of it. And oh, he's on the apex this time. Has he got it done? Christensen still looking racy in the background, that BMW. Oh, he's opened the corner right up. He is going for it this time. Oh, and the car's over-rotating. He's had a bit of a wiggle, and his teammates had to take avoidant action, and Christensen is going to be a massive beneficiary there. He's going to get right back in touch through the Schumacher-esque S's, or S, up through turn number 8. That was so very close for the BMW. Held that phenomenally well. It's bunched the pack right back up again and given Darren Jones a bit of breathing space from the chasing pack. It's certainly not done that for Liam Page. That is a whole lot of headlights in his rear view mirror at the minute. It's still unbelievably close as well. Up at the front between Thomas Morant and Jeffrey Ritchie. The battle of the new guns, the Porsche versus the Ferrari. The Ferrari took pole position in qualifying. Ritchie got a phenomenal start off the line, and it is where he has remained since. We're 6 laps in. 49 minutes left of the race. Remember, there is a 40-minute stint timer. And there is Juzma coming into the pit, so that is too early. He's got 49 minutes left of the race, so that potentially to make some changes to the car. As you see, Albie Alvarez, he's still actually hanging on at the back of Andre Dixon Chen. 2 tenths separating the two of them now. Having a look. Oh, and that was a brave manoeuvre then, Dixon Chen. Oh, still hanging in there. They've gone side by side through there successfully. They've both absolutely survived. Oh, and up through the S's. Little touch on the gravel there. So let's just have a look at this one again. Down into Seat. This is a world there side by side. Little wiggle there by the Audi then. So that's what slowed Chen's momentum. Has a look up the inside. Chen sees it coming. Pulls on the brake. Pulls the cut back side by side. And retakes that position back up the hill. Oh, and then almost contact there up through and into the gravel slightly. Both drivers surviving that one though. Morant still chasing Richie. He's clocked the fastest lap of the race, 144.2. His previous lap at 44.4. And in fact, Richie's quickest lap was a 1 minute 44.2 as well. So these two really are head and shoulders above the rest of the field at the minute. Still plenty of action going on down through the field. How are we getting on, Simon? Penalty wise, anything made or anything at all from the opening stages of the race?
Nope. All the incidents that you saw on lap 1 were racing incidents, driver errors, their own unforced errors, which caused them to go off track. Kasitarash, he just lost the rear end of that Ferrari. He was already mid-spin, and then there was a bottleneck of cars behind him, obviously the first corner, second corner. No one at fault for where he ended up, because he was already going to be spinning anyway. But it just created a concertina effect. That's why we saw 3 cars facing the wrong way, because they all just bottlenecked into each other. And then Ranjbar, yeah, he tried to have a look at the inside of Romano, and he just actually hit the rear quarter panel of Romano's Audi, which sent his own car spinning. So again, that's an own driver error there, which sent him off track. I did hear you mention the rejoin was rather sketchy. I did check that. It was very on the edge, yes. Luckily, if he had hit somebody on that rejoin, there would have been a penalty, but there was no contact with any car. He held his brakes after spinning. I think the bump just sent him onto the track, but he did hold his brakes until everybody was passed. So no penalty for that either. And that was the lap 1 incidents. And now we're going racing. Looks like we got some fantastic battles up and down the field. Jeffrey Ritchie not having it his own way for the lead of the race. I kind of sense that if the Ferrari was faster at race starts, I think Morant would have been able to pull a gap on Ritchie, perhaps, because he seems to be faster of the two now. But yeah, this is playing into Ritchie's hands, because obviously he's got only 5 seconds to serve in the stop to Morant's 10.
Yeah, he does, yeah. And it's, yeah, I was just looking, I've got no idea where to look at the moment, because as you say, we've got battles absolutely through the field. This is the battle for the lead, the race lead. Can confirm that the telemetry does confirm that Morant is the quicker of the two. Average lap pace at the moment, even though he is behind. In second place at the minute. Dan Watts has got the easiest run on the podium at the moment. In fact, you can see in the background there, Albie Alvarez still applying all the pressure that he can to Andre Dixon Chen. These two even closer than the two leading the race. And then you've got the Klaus Christensen Ferrari affair. That is a whole lot of SOP livery that he's got ahead of him. And it's a battle between Page and Rollins. That is going to stand the test of time in this race. So Romano has extricated himself from this battle. Dan Jones has got a bit of breathing space at the moment, but it does look like Page is making himself a charge. Kasitarash Another driver that's in the pit, and for me that is potentially an erroneous strategy given we've got a 40-minute stint timer, Simon. That's 3 drivers now being into the pits, and they're still over 40 minutes left to go.
Yeah. The start of the first 15 minutes of this one hasn't worked out for a couple of drivers. Liam Page's poor qualifying performance, that's going to hamper his chances. Obviously, he's now stuck behind Jones, which is a silver driver. There's no rules on silver class drivers needing to let the pros through. There's no blue flags in this. He wants to keep that 7th place, and he wants to keep a pro between himself and Rawlins. Obviously, that's the top 3 in the silvers: Jones, Rawlins, and Christensen. And if there's a pro in between them,
sorry,
then...
Simon, we're going to go to a replay. There's been an incident. Oh, well, there's been something happened. Albi Alvarez is spinning off into the gravel. We'll jump in. Oh! It looked like you had a little bit of understeer there. There was a touch of contact. Oh, and Dixon Chen spun it. Oh, and that's not going to go well with the race stewards. I would say that is contact while trying to right the car. It did a 360. I think he has to redress the position when the driver contacted. But Dixon Chen and Albi Alvarez definitely in contention for podium positions, and Dixon Chen now finds himself running 16th overall, which puts him 10th in class. I was about to say the other big news is Joe Boyle's in the pits with more than 40 minutes left to go, so he's going to have to come into the pits again. His teammate Ryan McCord. But that one, Simon, have fun watching that replay.
So I believe, again, it was only lap 1 instance that a live shooted, so that's going to be a penalty for post-race. But it looks like Dixon Chen wiped out at the time the current leader of silvers, because Jones is all the way down in 15th place now, and Rawlins has got the lead of the silvers, followed by Christensen and Lewis. So my only assumption is Jones was wiped out by Dixon Chen on that rejoin, the leader of the silvers, and that's why Jones, Alvarez, and Dixon Chen are so far down the order now.
That would 100% make sense. Wow.
Do you know what I find as well? So obviously I joke about it all the time, because every single race room race at the minute I seem to be spinning if I'm in the F-Worlds or the Pragas, and you spin once and the tyres are just gone from you for the rest of the race. I think the new ACC physics are a bit like that now, you know. If you get these tyres heated up or scrubbed up in the wrong way from a spin or a terrible rejoin, even if you go on the gravel now, trying to get those tyres back in the right operating window is so difficult that it just makes your race like hell. So Alvarez, Jones and Dixon Chen are all going to be losing so much lap time right now, and I'm sure behind the wheel they're having a nightmare trying to keep it on the track.
It's certainly going to be interesting to see how they cope with that. New tyre physics, and this has thrown them in at the deep end, to say the least. Christensen still chasing Kowaleski, swapping positions. A couple of updates in the chat. Let's stick with Morant because it is the race lead again. So many places we can look for battles. Christensen still all over the back of the SOP2, but we'll now call Page and Rollins. It is Page ahead of Rollins, so he is 5th at the moment in the pros, and I don't see any reason for that to change because the drivers that have pitted are going to have to come in again. Quick update in the chat. Good evening, everyone. How we doing? Peter Brett, SOP on top. Love to see it. Willie AEM, good evening. How are you? GT Charity's in the chat as well. AM Motorsport, murders for days. And Super Duper Noob says Boyle is having issues with the car. Back end constantly stepping out, and pretty sure he got a drive-through for the pit entry. He has avoided the drive-through. There is nothing worse than the salt being rubbed into the wound. Into La Quetza. And Yeah, the Porsche doing well, as you were saying though, Simon. The Ferrari really is looking quick, and you can see Christensen at the moment really is giving Rollins and Page a lot to think about. And yeah, how far will team orders go for these two trying to fend off Christensen, do you think?
Absolutely no team orders in play whatsoever. They're racing for position. You know, Page wants to finish up as high as he can in the pros, so he doesn't want to let any silvers pass. And at the same time, Rollins and Christensen are battling for the lead in the silvers, but Rollins is going to struggle to find a way past Page because he doesn't want to let him pass. Yeah, there's no team orders going on with that one, and if Lewis can keep in touch with Christensen and Rollins, if they're actually being held up by Page and he can keep within that 5-second gap, D. Lewis could be on top of the race victory in silvers right now. Christensen could be close second or even challenging for the win. He's only got that 5 seconds to serve, but Rollins is going to miss out massively with that 15 seconds when he comes into the pits. Quite coincidentally, obviously, we're seeing all the drivers with the success penalties right at the top of the field here, first, second, fourth, sixth and seventh. So they're all going to tumble back down the order ever so slightly. I think Morant and Ritchie are the only anomaly in this. They've got the pace to both pull away from actually Dan Watts in third in the pros. So when the pit stops do come around, Ritchie and Morant may still find themselves in first and second. Ritchie obviously perhaps just extending that lead in the pit stops because he's got less of a success penalty to serve.
Yeah, the success penalties have been a roaring success. Thanks very much. I'm here all week. Hope you rate this. Dead jokes for days. But yeah, the success penalties definitely have been a roaring success in bringing things together. All change over the top of the races, which is good to see. And yeah, like you say, Dan Watts, who's fallen foul, shall we say, of success with 15-second penalties on his shoulders several times, finds himself with no penalty, and the drivers around him all sitting with him. As I say, Liam Page, no team orders in play, of course, and he's got Rollins just behind him. Again, the battle for the top two spots in the silvers, but again, success penalties are going to come into play. So at the moment, it is D. Lewis, 3.5 seconds back. He needs to stay within 5 seconds, and that's going to give him the jump on Christensen, and of course the jump on Rollins with that 15 seconds. David Danzer could be in contention here as well. Mustafa Ransbar with a 10-second success penalty himself. And there is a few drivers in. Nice and early. Jones, Sokach and Petrovic. Of course, Jones, one-time silver leader. There is Sokach and there is Petrovic. Oh, he is out. Jones, Sokach. And Petrovic has stayed out. Okay, so he has to. Oh, there we go. A bit of a wiggle and another bit of a wiggle. Potentially not the best idea. McCord, race winner in race 1 for the silver, started 12th in race 2, finished 10th. Now currently in 7th. And it's Dixon Chen he's got ahead of him. So we'll see when he decides to come in. Albi Alvarez, who he was racing with, he's now 11th overall. So he's back inside the top 10. And Thomas Morant, Simon, into the pits. That is that a brave call coming in this early? That's him now looking for a monster undercut, or do you think we'll see Ritchie replying?
Well, Ritchie's times looked like they were just starting to drop off a little bit. You know, they were approaching the 45 flat pace, and I know Ritchie was just coming up to some back markers as well. He obviously managed to get past Jonathan Reed quite quickly, so there's no back markers in the way at the minute, but this is the point of the race where you should be seeing a lot of drivers come in, so I don't expect Morant to have much difficulty with traffic. You know, I don't think there's going to be more than 5 minutes before all the drivers are in. We could actually see Richie respond right now, unless he does stay out for another lap. He does. He's going for another one, so he's not ready to come in yet. Although I do know that Richie's rear left tyre is looking quite hot, so he might be struggling with pace at the end of this race. And we will see if the Ferrari has that extra pace and tyre advantage in the final 30 minutes.
Yeah, that would be a bit of an extra kick in the exhaust system if the Porsche started suffering tyre failure towards the end of the stint, given that it's not exactly the best in a straight line. Although the top end speed, have to fix that. I've heard some reports that it is slight. Was that contact? Christensen's just sailed through. I think Christensen's just been given the position. That is for the lead in the silvers. Christensen has got the move done there on Rollins. And I think there was the slightest bit of contact here. The Aston Martin, having a look up the inside of the BMW into turn number 1. Oh, he's got his nose in front. He's had a slide, he's caught the car, he's come back on. So he's tried to avoid contact there. The curb has over-rotated him. And Klaus Christensen in the Ferrari, Simon, has been absolutely gifted the lead of the race after almost a dozen laps of some serious patience.
Yep, I was just about to say the word patience there from Christensen is exactly what he's done so well, and the race has just fallen lovely to him. We've seen it so many series in the past with Christensen where his qualifying performance hasn't quite been up to the standard as his race performance, and we're seeing his race performance right now. He's moved to the front of the field in the silvers. He's just played the patient game and the opportunities come to him. He is in prime position now because obviously Rollins has got that 15-second penalty to serve.
He's coming to the pits.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it is around the time that all the drivers should be coming into the pits anyway. He got the jump on Rollins. It's not going to be a worry because Rollins has obviously got that 15 seconds to serve it. The question is D. Lewis going to be able to put in some fast laps now and take the lead of this race?
Indeed, yeah. It's just... Yeah, I've got the broadcast up, mate. Sorry, there you go.
Yeah, I'll click on yours now, so I'm just staying up to date. Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, we could see the lead of the silvers change hands once again now with Mr. Lewis. He's obviously stayed out for another lap. He has no success penalty to serve. As long as his pit stop doesn't have any problems, he could be coming out a few seconds ahead of Christensen, but he's got the pace advantage, so we might see a part of the lead in silvers in the final 25 minutes of this one.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a grandstand finish once again. Who'd have thunk it in an SOP race?
Exactly.
Yeah, but the success penalties certainly going to bring success to someone this evening. It's more than likely going to be someone that doesn't have one. Although we've still got 38 minutes of racing to go. Night time in Barcelona. David Danzer closing up onto the back of Chris Fielder. He's not too far down on Lewis himself, so definitely can't be counted out. Lewis at the moment, the on-track leader. Christensen smoothly getting the job done. He is back out ahead of Jones. So he's definitely got the lead there. He's got Ryan McCord just ahead of him. Ransbar close to that penalty. Reed back into the pits. Or is that him just coming in, sorry. He's got Boyle just behind him, struggling with the back of that Mercedes. I'm sure there will be a lot of telemetry being analysed this evening. For Joe, 22nd at the moment. Still some pit stops to come though. And there's Danzer coming into the pits, bang on the halfway mark. Morant, that's him back up to 9th. All 8 drivers ahead of him. Still got to take their pits. Richie has stayed out. So too Dan Watts. Christian Romano trying to delay the 15 seconds that he's going to have to wait. That will be an absolute lifetime as he's watching the rest of the cars go past. Richie is out for another lap. How is the track temperature looking, Simon?
The track temperature right now has only dropped 1 degree, so we're down to 20
okay.
degrees track temp. I mean, it might cool another degree by the end of the race, but the tyres are already suffered. I say suffered. 21 degrees wasn't too hot, but it was obviously potentially enough to upset the tyres in the final 25-30 minutes. So we'll see how Richie does now in the Porsche with that rear tyre wear. The rear tyres are starting to look a bit worse for wear in the Porsche. I know from the practice sessions and the drivers chatting, after 35 minutes, all the Porsche drivers were really starting to struggle on their tyre wear. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it unfolds in the final 25.
Yeah, and we'll jump back on board with Christensen. Romano's into the pits. Third on track when he came in. Watson Ritchie still out on track. Christensen has got Alvarez just ahead of him. Alvarez looking to recover from that early incident. Reed still in the pits. It doesn't look like he's going to be finishing the race, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah. Do you know what? We might actually see no, we won't actually, because Morant is the de facto in a podium position. I was going to say we might see a sneaky podium for Liam Page. He's up to 3rd. Obviously, Romano's going to drop down the order, who was just in front of him because of the 15-second penalty. He's really dropped down the order. But I don't think the top 2 or 3 are going to be that affected.
I don't think so. Romano, yeah, he is. Wow, behind Jones. So he is behind Jones and just ahead of Kowaleski. So yeah, but it's as you were, and Dan was in the pits, but it's as you were pointing out, Simon, the top 4, 5, I think they were separated by less than a second, but outside of that, I mean, the whole field, 2.1 seconds maybe, the whole field was separated by, so to see him drop down, even with him pitting so late in the race, not massively a surprise, you would say, given, I mean, it's close in qualifying, and it's certainly, as we can see, Kowaleski applying all the pressure to the Audi there, it's close in the race as well.
Yeah, it is. There was less than tenths of a second separating a lot of this field, so regardless if they were pro or silver, they were all pretty matched in pace, apart from like the top 3 or 4 in the pros. So yeah, you can expect a lot of shuffling going on, with lap times going to be pretty similar between a lot of them. And you know, if you've got a success penalty to serve here, you're really going to be losing a lot of places and a lot of points. But that's the championship, that's how it's going to go. Obviously, the drivers that have got the success penalties at the next round, they're going to experience the same thing.
Yeah, indeed they are, and that is what is going to keep this championship going right down to the very last round. Absolutely love it. And yeah, we've got some phenomenal races still to come. Valencia, of course, added to the calendar. Watkins Glen, Brands Hatch, and Indianapolis. Still to come as we see the cars flooding into pits. Lewis on his way out, McCord on his way in. Christensen makes his way past where he is ahead of Lewis, quite comfortably in fact. So it's all down to Ransbar and Rollins taking their pit stops.
Something's happened with Christensen and Lewis, is there? Why has D. Lewis dropped down the order so much? He didn't have a penalty to serve in the pits. I've got to think he's had to take tyres. That's my only assumption on that one, John.
He did seem to be in the pits for a while.
Yeah, that's going to be my only assumption with that one.
Yeah, well, no, because there is no mandatory requirements in the pit, is there? Just to confirm.
No, that's right, yeah.
come in, clear your stint timer, out you go again.
Correct.
Boyle back into the pits. Jonathan Reed still in the pits. Ransbar in the pits for his 10-second penalty. Dixon Chen coming into the pits from 8th. He's carrying a bit of damage as well. Rollins comes into the pits from the on-track lead of the Silvers. Christensen is across the start-finish line. So if something did ail Lewis, it certainly did involve Klaus Christensen. He has he's got himself comfortably into the lead there, as Rollins only just on the exit then. Wow, so given how close they were when Christensen came into the pits, that is a worldie of a stop there, Simon. And Klaus Christensen has got what could be considered a very comfortable lead over the Silvers, and he's in fact closed up to Albi Alvarez since getting out of the pits, and looks like he could be improving up to 6th overall as the two Ferraris battle out through the sector number 2.
Yeah, this is where Christensen's got to be pretty careful now, because obviously Alvarez is a pro. Like you said, he's got almost 15 seconds to the good of any other Silver driver, so he doesn't need to push the boundaries too much. He doesn't need to try and force a move on Alvarez. He's got a comfortable lead in the Silvers, and if he just sticks behind Alvarez for the final 22 minutes, he's looking at a solid victory there in the Silver class.
He is, yeah. And while that was going on, Simon, we have missed Richie coming into the pits, and what a pit stop it was, because he is what, a fair chunk, 6 or so seconds ahead of
I think
Morant.
he's 12 seconds ahead of Morant now.
12 seconds.
So he's made that pit stop work definitely in his favour a hell of a lot better, actually, because Morant was only within a second before the stop. There was a 5 seconds difference between the success penalties, so Richie's gained another 5 seconds between Morant coming in and Richie coming in. So yeah, fantastic stuff there.
That is indeed not so fantastic. Chris Fielder's picked himself up a stop go 32nd for speeding in the pit lane. Christian Romano just getting close to Jones then. The Silver driver caught early doors in the passenger door, and then found himself rotating into the gravel. Romano makes his way past to go 12th overall. 9th in class he is at the moment. Page, the next driver to him. He's got Jones no longer between them. No, so it's Dixon Chen next for Romano. Rollins and Ransbar 2nd and 3rd. Rollins giving Dixon Chen a chase through sector 2 at the moment as well. And Klaus Christensen still on the back of Alvarez. Enjoying himself a free bit of slipstream. Koleski, the next driver, looking to get an overtake done on Jones, and it doesn't look like Page is going to be much longer after. That is Koleski that he is watching. Boyle is back out with the pits. He's amended some time. Oh, of course, he had the stint timer to clear. There was more than 40 minutes left of the race when he came to the pit, so he had to clear his stint timer, so that's why he was back in. This is Page closing in still on Kovalevsky. This is for top 10 honours. 13th for Page on the boards, but of course 3 of those drivers are silver, so he is in 10th. And he is actually going to be gifted a position, of course, because Chris Fielder has got to serve a stop-go 30-second penalty. So that's going to, of course, see Romano. He's already through. Kovalevsky, Page, both making it through as well.
I think Page must have changed tyres as well to drop. You know, he's right in line with D. Lewis in the Silvers, who we think took tyres. So he's dropped down from 3rd to 13th. 10 positions lost. Are the drivers actually just that close out on track, or has he taken tyres? Because yeah, he seems to. He was running inside. I think he was 6th before the pit stops. He made his way up to 6th because Rawlins was challenging him for that 6th place spot earlier on in the race. So yeah, Page has dropped right down the order again here. Not a good running out for the drivers who are needing to take tyres, it seems.
Indeed. Yeah, so I did wonder actually, I was asking the question, have we seen any problems with tyre wear? Again, the reports of 40-45 minutes was kind of things that I'd read here and there. That certainly seems to be the case then, given something, because normally, Simon, you know yourself, in our race as sprinters, if you tell these drivers no requirement in the pit stop, just clear a tyre, they're just driving straight through. Nobody's even thinking about taking on tyres, but these new physics and the new tyre model itself, certainly they've eased up on some things, but the tyres are certainly something that the drivers are going to have to give a lot more thought to, it seems.
Yeah, and I think we're a week into it
Juzma back
now.
in the pits. Sorry. Oh, Juzma back in the pits. Romano all over the back of Ransford. They're side by side. Marcus Juzma. Marcus Juzma. There he is there. He's back in the pits as we see. Kowaleski looking for a double overtake potentially into turn number 1. Sails up the inside. Oh, and that's a BMW. Joining Liam Page then, Simon. So yeah, he might have changed tyres, and that might be a benefit as we see him coming flying into the background there. Gets that overtake done. Mustafa Ransbar falls down a couple of positions there. Juzma back in and out of the pits though.
Yeah, I think he was one of the earlier stoppers, wasn't he? So he had to resubmit his stint time. So yeah, I think that's why Juzma was in. But yeah, just back to the point of we're only a week into the new update. I think a lot of things are still a mystery for these drivers. You can set up a car to do a qualifying session or a quick 20-minute race and not feel much of a difference in the setup and the tyre wear and whatever else may come in that 20 minutes. But when you've actually got to sit there and do a full 60-minute race now, you've got to really think about tyre management, tyre wear. Is your delta too fast for the tyres? You've got to stick to a certain delta time to make sure that the tyres can last the 60 minutes. Especially for endurance racing now, I think it's going to turn things on its head, because especially there's some certain endurance championships where teams need to double stint tyres. It's not even thought of that some endurance races need you to do 2 hours on one set of tyres, and drivers can't even get 45 minutes out of them now before they're feeling the effects. Before you could get 90 minutes and still feel comfortable on the one set of tyres. So needing to do double stints and 2 hours on one set of tyres is not going to be enjoyable whatsoever for drivers. I think lap times and deltas are really going to have to be something that's focused on a hell of a lot more now. It's not just going to be about raw pace.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I'm now wondering, because we did have a series before, I think it was an hour and a half. And there was drivers that did take tyres, drivers that didn't take tyres. The drivers that did obviously dropped down the order when they came at the pits, but then towards the end of the race, their lap times were the more consistent. Will we see that in this race? 15 minutes until we find out. It's Richie at the moment with a very comfortable lead. Lightning start off the line, and despite having a 5-second success penalty ballast to serve in the pits, he's got a 13-second gap over Thomas Morant. Dan Watts in 3rd place at the moment. Just goes to show you how quick Morant and Richie have been. Richie especially, he had the 5 seconds to serve. Dan Watts no time to serve, and he's still 8 seconds down on Morant. There is Pranav Kalavala. Go on, Jeffrey, in the chat. Cheering on Jeffrey Ritchie, who is Guan. I can assure you, he is Guan, and yeah, done. Leon Seeley in the chat as well. Good evening, Leon. Why are you not racing? Is the big question.
He doesn't like to race in his own championships anymore, this man.
Ah, okay. Is that what it is? Has fame got in his head a bit, Simon?
Yeah, these FIA Motorsport finalists don't want to race in small leagues anymore.
Oh, is that what it is? That's what it is, right, okay. We are absolutely pulling right, but just in case anyone in the chat gets that the wrong way around. But yeah, good to see you in the chat, Leon. But no, Seriously? Because I'm going to make it Thomas Morant set up and be quicker than you in the Ferrari, so you're going to have to come back, Christian. That's just the way it is. Isn't it, Simon? You're going to get me that setup, aren't you?
Well, do you know what, actually? I was talking about Richie's tyres potentially falling away. I think Morant's tyres are the ones that are falling away because he's losing a hell of a lot of time to Richie in these final 20 minutes. The gap's already almost out to 15 seconds now. So I think that's why we saw Morant be so much faster in the earlier part of this race, and I guess it was really critical for Richie to get that jump off the start. But now, yeah, Morant's tyres seem to be dead. It was that 45-minute mark like we just talked about, and Richie seems to be gapping Morant by at least half a second every single lap now. So yeah, Richie's been able to look after those tyres in the Porsche, and now Morant's struggling. I mean, Dan Watts isn't doing any better. He's also losing time to Morant, and Alvarez is quite a way back from Watts as well. So I think these drivers are now just starting to struggle. As who are we seeing go wide there? I think that's Rawlins giving up some position to the Pro Class drivers.
Yes, it is. That's a few positions there. Romano Kowaleski and Page all making their way through. Yeah,
And if Page has picked up brand new tyres, he should be able to make his way past Kowaleski and Romano. But I think it's going to be too much to say he can close on Dixon Chen. But we still don't know how much the drop off on these tyres are going to be. Romano's only 4 seconds behind Dixon Chen. That's plenty enough time for these drivers to close up if Dixon Chen has got any issues.
And Dean, talking about tyres as well, I did say that D. Lewis has spent a while in the pits. If he's got fresh tyres, he's definitely going to get the drop on Jones and Ransbar here. Yeah, so this is for fourth in the Silvers, and it is a three-way battle at the minute that is being led by Ransbar, but Jones and Lewis in the Porsches all over his rear spoiler. Shock horror, we're getting into the final 10 minutes and the podium positions are all up for grabs. Love to see it. Klaus Christensen, he's definitely taken Simon's advice. Nothing too heroic. He is absolutely matching Alvarez lap for lap. These two have rarely been separated by more than half a second since they came out the pits. Masterful drive by both of them in the new car on the new physics. Boyles had to come back into the pits there as Chris Fielder, who had a stop-go penalty, a stop-go 30-second penalty. Let's not diminish the amount of extra time he spent in the pits. He's caught back up to Petrovic. It's not a position that is going to get him any extra points, but certainly one up in the finishing order. Jones now finds himself behind Lewis. Oh, beautiful side by side there. And yeah, my guess that Lewis is on fresher tyres. As we can see from that exit speed there, and he's wasted no time. Cheeky bit of slipstream right at the start before he got the move done. And that has put him right on to the back of Ransbar, just ahead. Fourth place in class is what he's looking at there. Rollins a fair bit down the road still, so second place looking safe there. Oh, Lewis going for another move then. Less than half a lap later, and he's looking for another one. This is very dark. Oh, it's in the Renault. Is he going to get the cut back to Aston Martin? No. Rotates the car beautifully, keeps it on the inside line. Lewis still looking for the side-by-side. Down into Seat and up into Worth. Beautiful manoeuvre there, Simon. So, yeah, it certainly seems to be paying off. Drivers that did spend that bit of extra time in the pits to get the fresh tyres, it's paying dividends for them in these closing stages.
Lewis has just sailed right round the outside of two drivers like they weren't there. Yes, I think it's a massive difference with fresh tyres compared to these old scrub tyres now. So much so that you're talking whole seconds in delta time, which wasn't heard of on the previous patch. Like we said, tyres could last up to 90 minutes without really affecting too much of a lap time that we're seeing now here. Like we keep talking about, 45 minutes seems to be the cliff. If they haven't looked after their tyres, they're just losing lap time left, right and centre. And Lewis has been able to get a tyre stop strategy working in his favour. He's back onto the podium. Can he close 5 seconds in 9 minutes? Well, it's going to be 10 minutes with the extra lap, I suppose.
Oh, Liam Page, take a bow. Phenomenal move there, Simon. Sorry, I'm going to have to stand up and give that one a round of applause. He takes to his feet. The neighbours are all wandering past, looking in the window. There we go. He tried to, Kowaleski tried a fairly extreme defensive move. Page saw that one coming. He's read that page in the playbook before. And absolutely, hey, he's on fire. So look at that, sails one through. The Ferrari having a wiggle on the brakes, and Page absolutely solid in the BMW. Luckily, the commentators have been harping on for the last 10 minutes about how a fresh set of tyres is working wonders, and Liam Page again, Simon, highlighting that point absolutely beautifully. The Ferrari all at sea on the 52-minute-old tyres, and Liam Page leaving him cast adrift and sailing his way back up to 7th place in class.
Yeah, 7th place in class. Put your money on him finishing in 5th place in class. I reckon he will catch Romano, who's right on the back of Dixon Chen. Remember that I said about that 3-second gap? Wasn't it enough time? It certainly was. Dixon Chen is struggling a hell of a lot now. I don't know if he's got some terminal damage on board that Audi after contact with Alvarez earlier on. But he's really struggling for pace now, and Romano's looking to get a move done. And whilst those two are battling, Page is able to close that gap as well. We could see Page close right up to the back of these Audis and challenge for 5th place in class.
Oh, as the Audi of Romano does sail on through. So Audi versus Audi there. Romano coming out on top. Page definitely closing in. Ritchie definitely pulling away now up to 16.1 seconds. Morant's got the fastest lap of the race, but Ritchie definitely takes all the awards for the most consistent laps. 30 of them completed so far, in a 16-second gap over the pole sitter Thomas Morant. Down 15 seconds down the road is Dan Watts. Albi Alvarez, still the Ferrari Chrome lad that is running between these two drivers. The 296. And these two, again, as we can see, half a second has separated them since they came out the pits about 10-12 laps ago. Beautiful formation stuff. Christian Romano just getting the move done on Andre Dixon Chen, and already Liam Page within striking distance. Half a second separates them through the Lacakesing timing delta. One of the worst placed timing boards in the world. If you miss your brakes here and go too fast, it will sometimes store that as your fastest sector too, so you then have to reset the laps. But anyway, Superdube, that's karma for a late defensive move.
He was on about the last move with Liam Page on the Ferrari.
Ah, okay.
Kowaleski. I think we'll see Page up the inside of Dixon Chen here. He's really struggling for straight line speed, I think.
Yeah, he definitely is. Into turn number 1. Page pulls out, signals he's going to go up the inside. Dixon Chen takes the racing line. Page opens up the corner ever so slightly, gets good acceleration on the car, really trying to hug that inside line. He's got a good run on edge. You can see him as Dixon Chen's tyres are struggling through the middle section of the corner. The BMW absolutely outgunning the Audi. The Audi hanging in around the outside with Page. It's almost as if he's got much fresher tyres. Holds a phenomenal line through the inside there, and he takes that position. So Page up to 6th position then, with Romano just ahead of him. 4 minutes left to go. All the action all the time, because David Danzer still looking for an improvement on his position. So too Jones. They're all over the back of Ranjbar since Rollins got past, and of course the D. Lewis got past. He hasn't looked back, and Jones up through Worth. He's looking for a position, and he's got it, I would say, in the post behind David Danzer. Looks like he's trying to join him. Oh, goes one way, goes the other. Heavy on the brakes. He's going to look for a good run at him here into La Cakes, no doubt. Oh, and the Aston Martin runs a bit wide. He's going to have lost traction on the exit there, the Porsche. Oh, he thought about a move a bit inside. The Aston Martin was potentially a bit late on the brakes there, and he's going to run a bit deep. He wasn't potentially, he was a bit late on the brakes, and the Porsche sails on through. Yes, Simon, I've been talking about the Alvarez Christensen promo video that they're running for the Ferrari at the moment, but the Porsches have certainly given a phenomenal account of themselves tonight. We've seen some cracking overtakes through some difficult corners, and yeah, David Danzer popping another one in there as well.
Yes, yeah, and I think we missed the overtake for Lewis, moving up to second place in the Silvers. He was in third, he's moved up to second. Rawlins and Ranjbar, both in the Astons. I think they are struggling like hell on those tyres right now. Their pace drop off is just so significant compared to the Porsches. And yeah, Rawlins right now is losing 1.5, 2 seconds per lap on Lewis. So we may see those Porsches just behind still close up on the final podium spot.
Yeah, Rawlins struggling for grip there actually as I was watching him. Just on his way to the RACC, that was, yeah, a sketchy bit of tail end out. In the chat page, made short work of Dixon. Indeed he did. Those tyres, definitely a strategy I think we will see employed at future rounds. Drivers will be spending that bit of extra time in the pits. Although, you'd maybe be hard-pressed to convince Jeffrey Ritchie to spend much more time in the pits. He's got himself an 18-second lead over the rest of the field with 2 minutes left to go. Fear not, we still have plenty of overtaking action on the horizon as Kowaleski now all over the back of Dixon Chen. So we saw Dixon Chen last week have a phenomenal race, finishing 4th, dropping off the pace towards the end of this race. Moves over to take the outside line, inviting the Ferrari up the inside. The Ferrari obliging. Oh no, not quite close enough on the brakes. Backs right out with that one. Dixon Chen holds on to 7th for the moment. That is 7th in class, of course. He's in 8th. Christensen, I'd imagine at the moment, Simon, the highest heart rate on the entire grid, and potentially in the history of his racing career. Klaus Christensen, as I said, sometimes his qualifying pace belays his race craft and IQ and his race strategy as well. Klaus Christensen mixing at 5th place overall and comfortably leading the Silvers.
Yeah, he's got a whopping 25-second lead in class, and I mean, if he wasn't being conservative, he probably could have taken 4th place overall. He probably does have the pace over Alvarez, but he's been sat behind the rear bumper of that other Ferrari for the last 25 minutes since he pulled out of the pits. It seems, well, I guess again it depends on setup, but Christensen has got that setup dialed in perfectly, and he's able to maintain that pace, unlike Morant and Alvarez, who have just dropped off in pace on that Ferrari. So I do wonder, I know like Morant and Alvarez are in the same team, obviously SOP Esports, same as Rawlins and Ranjbar, they're in the same team, and it begs the question, they're probably running the same setups, and that's why they're both now suffering the same issues as Jones and Dancer are right on the back of Rawlins like we predicted, and it's going to be the final lap for the final podium position. John, this is going to go down to the wire. This is going to be fantastic.
Oh, it really is. And the problem I've got is the race winner, the race leader, is about to cross the line. So we'll jump on board with Jeffrey Ritchie. There he comes through New Holland. A dominant performance after starting in 2nd. Got the jump, and he has led from start to finish, even through the pit stops. Phenomenal drive there. It's going to be Thomas Morant finishing in 2nd. Dan Watts is going to get 3rd. Let's have a look and see what's going on. Oh, and that's all kinds of wayward then. James Rawlins all over the place. Let's see what happened there. So there is where we left the action. We will get the full classified results, but no one else was close. These guys definitely were, and this is for the final podium position. D. Lewis, we're going to miss him crossing the line, taking set, and Klaus getting himself. There he is, cross the line. So there's Klaus Christensen cross the line. D. Lewis taking second. David Danzer in the Porsche. He's at the back here. So this is... Oh, so they've still got another lap to go. They're a lap down.
That's what
I'm
saying.
out of the last corner. There was almost contact between one of the Porsches and the Aston, and this is where David Danzer says, let's go 3 wide into turn number 1, gentlemen. We've got 1 lap to decide who's getting the final podium position. And it is Danzer round the outside of turn 1. Oh, and there's contact between Jones and Ranjbar, so Rollins, sorry. So that's what we jumped on board, and that's where we saw that. But David Danzer, talking again, Simon, about the Porsches pulling off some worldly overtakes. David Danzer pops one in the bag there, and he gets himself 2nd place as the reward. 3rd place as the reward, as we see D. Lewis cross the line to take 2nd.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic last lap stuff, as always here at SOP Motorsport. Final podium positions decided on the final lap, and it couldn't have made it a better move around the outside of Rollins and Jones. So fantastic stuff to finish that one off.
Indeed it was. Excuse me while I just quickly save the replay. I do need to get a quick screen to hide this, but there we go. Return to garage. Let's have a look at the timetables. It was Ritchie that took the top spot. Morant in 2nd. He did take the fastest laps. He will get bonus points for that. And it was Dan Watts that rounded out the pro podium in 3rd place. Albi Alvarez did hold on to 4th in the race and 4th in class as well. Romano finishing 5th, Page 6th.
Look at that, though, John. How crazy it is with different setups. There's 20 seconds between 2nd and 1st, 20 seconds between 3rd and 2nd, 20 seconds between 4th and 3rd.
That is crazy.
In a 60-minute race, that is a big difference in setup work.
That is, yeah. Especially when you look at Jones finished the 10th behind Rollins. Very close there. And, of course, congratulations, Car Mentalist in the chat. How we doing, bud? I did see you sneak in there. The action was getting exciting. Johnny Bizzett in the chat cheering on D. Lewis, of course. And Pranav Kalavala. I've absolutely butchered that, sorry. Cheering on Richie, rightfully so, great. Like, Krakus, cool, Krakus, how we doing? Nice job in the commentary box, guys. Thank you very much, Krakus. Now, I feel weird, Krakus. You usually come in with some really witty insult. So please feel free to throw one my way. If it isn't child-friendly, chuck it over to me in DMs, bud. But good to see you. Thank you for jumping in. Klaus Christensen in the Ferrari. The hills will be alive with the sound of a very happy Danishman. Beautiful stuff in my beloved Ferrari, the 296. Beautiful race strategy from Christensen. Brings home the win. D. Lewis gets himself a well-deserved podium. And who finished on 3rd there, Simon? David Danzer.
Yes.
It was David Danzer. There we go. I had to really think about that there for a second.
6th place start in the last lap, and you finish on the podium, eh? Fantastic end.
Quality stuff. Quality stuff. Carmelo's a cracking end to the race. Indeed. Indeed it is. Carmelo's, I've got nothing. Disappointed. Well, that's it. That's your homework for next time. We'll be expecting a wide array of insults thrown my way. Phenomenal. I tell you what, it's a wise man that said you get some amazing racing at Barcelona, Simon. Who was it that said that again? Yeah, let's ponder on that one. Let's say a big shout out and a massive thank you to the sponsors. I'll be Track Titan Virtual Sprint Cup, of course. Track Titan. I get the feeling some of the drivers might have already be on there, but yeah, version 1.9, never been a better time to get yourself a solid telemetry provider. Track Titan, absolutely the place to go. We've got several prizes that the drivers are vying for in both splits, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Will receive 6 free and 1 month subscriptions to the Track Titan Plus membership, and all the drivers that complete 6 or more rounds will be entered into a prize draw to win £50. So thank you very much to the sponsors. Track Titan. Jeffrey Ritchie in the chat. Happy. It was just raided. He's just raided as well. Right, now, I'm going to be embarrassed by the bots not doing a shout-out properly. Simon, congratulations on the Porsche win there. You didn't take tyres. How did you find the tyres after 45 minutes, Jeffrey? Quick interview, if you don't mind, could you think? We'll throw that one. But yeah, Simon, Barcelona, absolutely not disappointed, like the Scottish commentator predicted. And next round, Watkins Glen, that chicane. Going to be a fun outing.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't think there is going to be a boring race on these new physics and tyre model. Strategy and setup's going to be massive in this one, and even if you've just got your setup slightly wrong, it's going to be making all the difference. Like we saw today, there was 20 seconds between each of the 3 podium positions in Pro. That is a hell of a gap, considering there was only a tenth separating every single driver up and down the grid.
Yeah, that really was close. 0 graining, 0 blistering, wow.
So yeah, I think Watkins Glen is going to create some more fantastic racing, and well, I don't think the chicane's going to catch people out as much as it would have on 1.8, because they've updated the suspension model to handle curves a bit better. We'll find out at the next round.
Yeah, indeed we will. I'm just quickly looking for someone to raid ourselves. Thank you so much. Welcome into the Raiders, by the way. We are SOP Motorsport. There usually is a bot that would share the Discord, so you can all get involved in the racing as well. But it does like to go on holiday now and again. So yeah, we'll give that a kick in the coding, and we'll see if we can get that working. Making good tyre wear setup was 100% the way. Right, okay.
And
so
getting the jump on Morant at the start was vital.
Indeed. Going around.
But actually, it probably wouldn't have mattered at the end of the race, because Richie had so much more pace than Morant, so probably it wouldn't have mattered. It probably would have just made his life more difficult.
Indeed, it would have. Car mentalist. He is transitioned to BC. Excellent. Oh yeah, bring it on. Car mentalist. He can drive. I'll tell you what, I've seen him win many a series in a car that he shouldn't have won it in, and yeah, definitely, I'm excited about that one. Right, let's see who we're going to go and raid. We're going to raid 9K from the UK. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. But yeah, thank you.
Is he staying on?
He is, yeah. He is looking over setup data. He will be testing. Or is there someone else? Who else? We've done...
No, you crack on. You crack on.
Nice one. Well, make sure you get yourself involved. Actually, if the other bot wasn't working, that wasn't working yet. Aiden Carter, nice one. Yeah, get yourself on to Simgrid, get yourself signed up to SOP. Definitely podium contender there. But yeah, thank you, Jeffrey Ritchie. Thank you for the raid. Congratulations on the race win. This is going to be a phenomenal championship. Big thank you to our sponsor, Track Titan, and of course, big thank you to my co-commentator once again, Mr. Simon Baggas.
Thank you very much, Dom, for a fantastic broadcast once again. Have a little break until Sunday, where we've got the 4 hours of Valencia.
Yes, indeed we do. That is going to be good. I'm looking forward to that. And the raid button isn't working again, so we're not going to do that either. Sorry. Oh, and he's just raided Linksy.
Oh, he is jumping up. See, I wasn't sure. See, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. Because my bots are broken, I will send my faithful secretary onto Stream Elements to get them work. I'm going to go and jump over to Linksy, so please click on that link. Jump over there very quick, and you understand, sir, didn't have the best of races tonight, but he will be back stronger and better than ever. You better believe it. So yeah, enjoy Linksy, and as Simon says, oh, there's a whole load of memes there. There is the link for the Simgrid. Still spaces for the 4 hours of Valencia. Car mentalist, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Mr. Leon Seeley too, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Never mind team events, just get yourself involved. Yeah, so until then, stay safe, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you all Sunday. Good night from Simon.
Good night from Simon.
And it's a good night from me. Good night.